I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, June 24th, brought to you in part by Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. Kansas RMC's focus is on arthritis and orthopedic issues for your joints, back, and neck. It's a good alternative to surgery. 60% of their patients are farmers and ranchers. It's people that use their bodies to earn their living. Check them out at kansasrmc.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, they're going to have a big sale on Tuesday. I know nobody else is having sales, but they're having a big sale. They're going to have a good selection of calves and yearlings, and they're going to have a lot of cows. But they got 1,000 head of calves on offer, mostly 4 to 6 weights, and about half of them weaned. They're going to have some consignments of peewee calves. Now, I know they cost a lot per pound, but if you're trying to keep your dollars per head down there, they've got 100 head of little peewee calves there. They'll weigh 250 and down, but got split off some pairs there, so they'll have those calves. They've got another 50 head of calves that were on the cow longer. They just got split off. They'll weigh 350 to 400 pounds. They've got a consignment of 60 head of little peewee calves that a guy that's selling them has had them for about 80 days. He got them as brand new calves, got them weaned, got them straightened out. They're weighing in the 3s. They're hard as rocks. I mean, something you just can't find. They've got them there. Huff Ranch has got 80 head of 5 and 6 weight little calves. They're not weaned, but fresh off the cow and ranch raised. A lot of calves there. And then 500 yearling heifers. They've got 2 stick-out deals. They're going to be replacement quality if you're looking for that. They've got 54 head of red Angus heifers. They'll weigh in the 8s, really top quality. And then got another consignment, about that many of black and white face and red and white face mixed cows, but really fancy heifers. They'll be nice, guys. Then they've got 1,500 yearling steers weighing 800 to 1050. They'll have some lighter ones that will make grazers. They've got a lot of yearling steers there if you're looking for those. But the cow run, they've got 48 pairs in running ages. Some of them will be young. Got 17 first calf heifer pairs. They got 300 to 400 head of running aged bred cows. Where are you going to find them, guys, this time? And then they've got a big selection of just slaughter cows. They've got some fed cows in there. They're going to have over 800 cows for their Tuesday auction there. They had 650 cows last week, and it wasn't even a special. But big sale there. If nobody else is having one, they're having one. Check them out at DVAuction.com. Get in there and buy some of those cattle. No reaction. Over the weekend, we took out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Then Trump kind of let them come back in on Monday and throw some token retaliatory missiles there to make them feel better at a vacant air base over there close to them. He intercepted every single one of them except for one that was errant, and they just let it go. But then it seems like now we're looking at a ceasefire. Now that would have seemed far-fetched, you know, just any time, even at any point, even on Monday or over the weekend, whenever we were bombing them. But you know, Iran doesn't really have any choice. If they want to keep in power there, they're going to have to do something like that. But who knows if this ceasefire will last any time? Those people have fought for generations, so they don't know any different. But the heck of it was, there was no reaction to the Monday markets. You know, everybody thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible. The stock market ended up higher. Oil went down a bunch, under $70 a barrel. Gas at the pumps went down also on Monday. Your cattle board was about as moderate as we've seen for quite a while as far as volatility. Now grain futures were down pretty significantly there. But you know, what's it take to cause a big rift? No, we didn't see hardly any volatility in what all was going on Monday. Everybody took it in stride. But this June live cattle contract here, we're coming down where we ought to be at maturity with this June contract. It's been heavily traded. Of course, it's getting down to the end, and it is still trading at a huge premium to what your fat cattle market is. Our weighted average on live steers for last week was almost 235, and that June live cattle contract trading at 222. And the hell of it is, when it's gone after this week, when it runs out, then we're going to go to August, which is 209.37. Ouch. The Packers, I don't know if they thought that was a joke or what, but Packer in Kansas was calling around saying that he would be willing to call into the plant at 211. See, that's one thing they can always bet on there. The CME's got a problem. They can't make the board converge whenever your prices have been high on the board. Now, if they've been real low, they can make it converge there with threat of delivery. But whenever they're trading at a big premium, there's nothing to make them come down. But luckily, you have enough cattle feeders of the few that sell negotiated cash in the Southern Plains that will jump at the basis every chance they get. They just, you know, that it's ridiculous the way we sell cattle in the Southern Plains. It's all corporates. They don't give a shit what the base price is as long as they're plus in the market. So, you know, let those guys establish a market down there at 211, and we'll get a little bit better than that. We'll sell our cattle at 215. Meanwhile, the guys in the Northern Plains, you know, they're trading their cattle at 230, 235. You know, I don't understand that reasoning, but that's the way the industry is totally gone, and the board doesn't even attempt to converge with the northern feedlot areas. And that now they can't even converge on the big discount that the Southern Plains is trading at. But I think it's ridiculous the way everybody uses that board for a hedge, because, well, basically we don't have anything else. You do have LRPs, but not so much on fed cattle. But it just doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. And if they would enable the longs to demand delivery, it would fix it. It would totally fix it. But delivery causes them to have to do something. And they don't want to do anything. Just sit there and let the computers take all the orders there and collect a commission on that. But I think it's a real problem we have in this industry, and nobody wants to do anything about it. Let's talk about that board on Monday. June live cattle were down 72 cents at 222.30. August was down 45 cents at 209.37. Your back months were down 27 cents to up 65. August feeder cattle were up 35 cents at 302.80. September was up 40 cents at 302.62. And your back months are higher from 50 cents to $1.30 higher. Now, I told you that grains were cheaper. July corn down 9.5 cents a bushel at 4.19 1/4. Beans were down 9 1/4 cents at 10.58 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 13 1/4 cents a bushel right during harvest at 5.50. Now, the weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region totaled only 47,800. It was lower again, didn't trade that many cattle. It was lighter than the previous week of 49,100, and a lot lighter than the same week a year ago, 61,400 head. Your live sales of fat steers and heifers ranged in price last week, negotiated from $225 to $240. That was $4 to $7 lower. Your weighted average on live steers in the 5 area was $234.88, down $3.80 from the previous week. Now, dress sales ranged from $372 to $382, which as a price range was mostly steady, but on the weighted average on dress steers it was $348 lower at $376.57. But as a whole, the Southern Plains market traded $7 lower last week. They seemed like the week before they were attempting to close that gap on the big premium that the North has, but last week gave it all up $7 lower on Friday, the end of the week there, at $228. Northern Plains was $3 to $5 lower, but trading $235 to $238, $10 better than the Southern Plains. And they've got good cattle in the Southern Plains too. They grade choice. Who cares what they look like if they grade choice? But it's kind of ridiculous. But nationwide, your negotiated sales totaled 59,300, actually more than the previous week of 58,300. This is nationwide now, and less than 71,400 they had the same week a year ago. Of that 59,300 negotiated nationwide, 41% of them sold for the 2 to 4 week delivery, and that's going to be our downfall from time trying to hold this market up. They're trading all these cattle forward, and any purchasing of cattle now is for late July. They've slashed this kill so much that they don't need cattle for the next few weeks. And you got that holiday week. They're going to use that as a bargaining tool and kind of a way to get around this, and so it's going to be tough the next few weeks on this fat cattle market. Negotiated grid sales totaled 43,700. Forward contracts totaled 10,400, and formula sales last week only 221,900. It sounds like a pile, but it's a lot less than normal. Of the 4 out of 5 areas that we get information, Iowa sold 22,150 last week negotiated. That's not bad. Nebraska sold 19,200 negotiated last week. That's a little light. Kansas only 5,150. And Texas feedlots, all the feedlots in Texas Panhandle, eastern New Mexico, and western Oklahoma, all of them piled together, sold a whopping 1,350 head negotiated cash. Now that's your problem right there. So nobody wants to do anything about it. Everybody else is just happy letting them establish that market on less cattle than they would have in any podunk auction, and then as long as they plus the market. I sold mine $4 better than what cash was last week. There's only 1,350 cattle selling cash, and you're letting that establish your market for you. Unbelievable. Box beef cutout values were mixed, I guess you could say. Choice was down 28 cents at $390.22, but select up $6.15. Wow, at $383.10. Only about a $7 spread in grilling season. Choice select. Well, there's not much select product out there on the market. They keep these cattle so long, they get so big, they pretty much all grade choice. And of course they do it with the cameras, and the cameras don't mind that. Slaughter, 111,000 for Monday. A lot better than last Monday. 8,000 better, but 2,000 less than the same Monday a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. It's going to be Punchy Pick of the Month contest coming up. It comes up pretty quick. I want to give credit to our Kids Corral sponsor, which is Great Plains Livestock Consulting. Let them do your purchasing for you. for your feedstuffs, because they've got contacts, they can get it done. Great Plains Livestock Consulting, we appreciate them. And then for the punchy pick, we've got Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma, and Farapiece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. So we thank all of those sponsors for the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, which is very popular. If you get a punchy pick, just email it to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered to win. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index. That is sponsored by Specialty Risk Insurance, and they are working to protect your livelihood. And your real-time index at the end of the day on Monday is setting at 309.87, down 67 cents. Fell below your CME cash feeder cattle index at 310.85. Talk about some big sales. There's not very many big sales going on, but they are having a special at Unionville Livestock Market here today on Tuesday. It's their barbecue customer appreciation day sale. They're going to have, of course, the Rockin' R's there. They got a lot of big consignments as one of their biggest sales. Be very impressive here. We'll be talking all about it on our next visit. They're also having a pretty big special at Macon, Missouri, south of their ways. But check them out at Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri. Both of those sales on DVAuction.com. Let's talk about your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, Monday, 4,400 head. Most feeders and calves sold mostly steady, but the ball and calves, those soft ball and calves, $5 to $10 lower in the heat, guys. They just melt in the heat, and you give them a new home and a different atmosphere, and they get sick, and they're not much fun to try to straighten up. Didn't find many friends there. Of course, $5 or $10, that ain't nothing on a $4 calf, so or $400 calf, should say. But one stick-out deal at Oklahoma City that had National Livestock Commission sold 57 heifers, weighed 853 at $284.50. Thought that was pretty impressive. But man, did they have a sale at Joplin. Joplin Regional Stockyards had 7,900 for their Monday feeder cattle auction, which included a yearling special. They always do that this time of year. But the yearlings sold really, really well. Steady to $8 higher on the yearlings, and they had some fancy ones in there, and they sold really well. The lighter weights and a lot of unweaned in there, steady to $10 lower, similar to Oklahoma City. Of course, Joplin was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard cattle equipment there. Stick out sale of the day. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and you see all the best tested weights, which of course there's a lot of them when you have 8,000 head. They had 354 four-weight steers, average 459 at 393.95. 501 head of five-weight steers, average 548 at 363.54. There was 895 head of the six-weight steers, average 646 at 336.68. There were 585 head of the seven-weight steers, average 750 pounds at 310.47. Now 1,384 head of eight-weight feeder steers at Joplin Regional Stockyards. They averaged 849 at 308.67, and 562 head of nine-weight steers, averaged 933 at 289.46. Had a pretty good run of heifers too. 386 head of the four-weight heifers, averaged 449 at 362.64. 711 head of the five-weight heifers, averaged 549 at 325.59. And 679 head of six-weight heifers, averaged 646 at 316.78. And 1,056 head of seven-weight feeder heifers, Joplin Regional Stockyards, they averaged 763 with a weighted average price of $296.95. look at some impressive quotes from all around. How about Gainesville Livestock Auction in Gainesville, Missouri? Way down in the Ozarks there. Would be quite a ways south and east of Joplin there, but 67 head, 784 pound steers at Gainesville Livestock Auction bring 313. Thought that was pretty impressive, weighing nearly 8, guys. How about Callaway Livestock Center up in central Missouri, right on I-70 there. Jack Harrison does a good job with that sale. They had a pretty good run too. But 68 head of 733 pound steers bring 331 and a quarter. But of course, Joplin, you have that many cattle, had that yearling special. They were your Macrison no BS top quote for the day. And the big quote come out of Joplin on Monday. Of course, everybody was talking about it. Most of you already heard about it. They had 600 head, 601 head, 10 loads, all black. Every one of them was black, peas in a pod, weighed 863, bring $318 at JRS. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.